As you know, we've come here so that we could do our first activity, where we indeed measure trees, like you mentioned earlier. Why would somebody want to measure a tree? Yeah.
To measure its growth and to make sure that it's growing right and it's not sick or anything.
Thank you.
So yeah, like there's maybe some trees that are like smaller or thinner or like baby trees to make sure that lumberjacks don't cut them down.
So hearing some things about health, some things about potentially cutting them down. Kai? What are some things that we can measure on a tree? Yeah, no.
Its height.
We can measure its height. Yeah.
How wide it is.
How wide the tree is. The circumference. Circumference, that word. Can somebody share with me what that is? Yeah.
Circumference is kind of like when you wrap some measuring tape all around the tree to see how thick it is.
Yeah, so if I wanted to wrap something around the tree, we really love trees. If we gave them a great big hug, that would be the distance around them. Thank you. We're going to measure some of these things today, and we're going to report back and see what we find, some of the measurements in the trees that are right here in Montrose Park. We're measuring circumference. If you were a scientist, which you are, how would you measure the circumference of this tree using only the things that I have? Adrian.
I'm guessing you'd maybe measure the line you have to see how long it is with your
This
measure.
with my official measuring tape.
Yeah,
All right.
measuring tool, and then maybe you wrap the thing around the tree.
Ah, okay. Now I measured it here. Does it matter?
I think it might matter because maybe some of them are supposed to have like really thick tops as a native species, and like the invasive one could have really thin tops.
I appreciate this. So urban foresters know this, and what they actually do is they measure all of the trees. They measure the circumference at a particular height. Anybody know what that is? You may not know that that is 4.5 feet. They call this the diameter at breast height. The diameter at breast height is 4.5 feet, so I imagine it was somebody's chest height. That way they can walk around and quickly note where they're going to make that measurement. All right, so this is 4.5 feet right here. And so like I said, I'm a little tall. So 4.5 feet on me is coming to here. But this can actually be helpful because I can remember that 4.5 feet is about right here. So if I make a little mark on my body and kind of remember that, I can think to myself, oh, now anywhere I go, 4.5 feet is right here. And now I know that that is where I can take that circumference. So when we measure the circumference of the trees, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Find out where 4.5 feet is on you. And then you can use that marker on your body to determine where you can find the circumference of the tree. We've got crown spread as the last thing that we can measure. Part of our list of things that we said that we could measure whenever we were sitting on that log over there. Crown spread is actually, if we were thinking about how much of the tree we could see if we zoomed in over top of it, how wide all of the branches of that tree would cover. We can measure crown spread actually in a couple different ways. And so in a tree like this, kind of where the branch comes out and make a mark on the ground for that. All right, and now we can measure the crown spread by measuring the distance between our two friends here. So we've measured the tree going this way. Now don't forget the crown spread. Actually, some of the branches might not extend that far going this way. So we're actually going to measure an X and get the crown spread going this way as well. You grab the end of that. See if our friends over there have finished up. We'll pull this. Have y'all found the edge? It's you? All right, Sarah is the other end. We're going to estimate tree height here, and like I said, we're going to use this 12-inch ruler, yes, this ruler right here, to estimate how high this tree is behind me. This tree back here, this is going to be the tree that we are going to estimate the height of. This one right here. How you do this is I'm going to have one of my friends here stand at the base of the tree.
So we already measured his height.
So we know how tall Mario is. That's great. So we'll have stand at the base of that tree for us. We know how tall Mario is already in real life. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take this ruler, yes, this ruler right here, do you want the ruler? And we're going to hold our arms out straight and stiff. And we're going to walk backwards without hurting ourselves until the base of the tree is at the 0 and the top of the tree is at the 12. All right, so you've got the base of the tree at the 0 on the ruler and you've got the top of the tree on the 12.
Robert can
I'm
take one
also
step
making
back.
a little note
Robert.
of where the top of Mario's head is. So Mario is at 1.5 inches. The tree is at 0 and 12. Yes. And I'm going to mark that down on my record sheet. And that's exactly what we're going to do when we get this. All right, now we've taken note of where Mario's head was at the top of his head on the ruler, and that was at
1.5 inches.
1.5 inches. And we're going to divide the length of the ruler by this number. So how long is this ruler?
12
inches. So I'm going to put 12 inches here, and I'm going to divide that by
1.5?
1.5 inches. Yes.
So that'd be 8.
And that number is 8 right here. Now you notice I'm keeping my units with these numbers because we want to make sure that that number has a meaning. You know, 55.3 inches
Times 8
times our 8 from here.
Yep.
All right.
would be 442.4.
0.4 inches. Now, when I think about 442 inches, that seems really hard for me to comprehend. How many inches are in a foot?
12. So we divide it by 12.
Can I divide
right?
that by 12? And I
Yeah.
feel like that might actually...
Okay, 36.866666667.
Do you mind if I round that to 36.87?
Yes.
Feet?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Let's do it.
So I've got my answer in both inches and in feet here because we divided by 12 inches.
And then you can also do it in
We
meters.
could divide it by 12 and then get into meters.
And we could get
divide
into-
it by 3.
Meters, yeah.
All right, I like this.
So then be
12.28.
12.28. 12.28.
12.28 meters.
That's it. And that's all.
So we have our estimate of our tree height here. The last thing that we're going to measure whenever we break off into groups and take a look at some of these trees here in this park is we're going to look at the size of a leaf or one of the needles. Yes, this tree has needles. So we're actually going to measure that from the base to the tip. I'll ask you to take a look at these. Like I was saying, here you've got the measurements of your tree, and they are some measurements already in this chart here, and these measurements are actually to General Sherman, the largest known living plant on Earth. How much bigger? How many times would your tree fit into a General Sherman? How much bigger is the General Sherman than your tree that you measured?